This is the Scarcity Studios YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. I really appreciate you joining me today, and thank you to all the new subscribers and viewers. Two of the social medias have been shadow banned in the past month due to some of the stories and exposure of some of the cases that are going on at the minute. This story especially got us shadow banned on YouTube for over a week because YouTube said this was sensitive topics. So Instagram and Twitter are also shadow banned, so the only way you can follow them is by following links. This first story, I covered it the other day where he was originally charged. He's now pled guilty. He's a deputy head teacher, well, a former deputy head teacher, being as he's been fired for a primary school called Thomas's in Battersea. This was attended by the children of Prince William. He got a job there only a year ago after returning from spending 5 years in India abusing younger children. Matthew Smith, 34 years old from East Dulwich, was arrested by the National Crime Agency in November 2022 after investigators identified that he'd accessed abuse on the dark web. Smith was online at the time of his arrest, and he was speaking to a teenage boy in India, and he was asking him to send sexual images of another child in return for money. He also had dark websites and forums open on his computer when he was arrested. He was charged the following day with 5 offences, and these included the sexual exploitation of a child under 13, and he was remanded in custody. NCA investigators interrogated chat logs and financial transactions and were able to establish that Matthew Smith had paid the same teenager and another teenager in India £65,398 to abuse children over a 5-year period. Smith was living in Nepal at the time, and he worked at a school there as well for the majority of his stay in the country. Prior to this, he spent various time in orphanages and NGOs across India, dating back to 2007. So the extent of his abuse will maybe never be fully known, because some of these children might not ever be found, and at the same time now he's been convicted, so they may just leave it at that, when in reality every single child he's ever had contact with needs to be checked and found that they're okay. He moved back to the UK in July 2022 and began working at Thomas's primary school in London, which is a very prestigious school. It's the Battersea one, and as I said at the beginning, was attended by the 2 children of William and Kate. The chat logs that the police revealed showed that he would direct young boys how to commit the abuse and would pay them over the course of the time that he was there. He also gave them advice on how to abuse and befriend children and to gain their trust. Officers also found 120,000 indecent images of children, and Smith had them saved on his laptop. Last month he was charged with a further 17 counts, including encouraging the rape of a child under 13, causing a child under 13 to engage in sexual activity, and arranging the sexual abuse of a child. He appeared at Suffolk Crown Court on the 20th of June, where he pled guilty to the additional charges. He'd be sentenced on the 4th of August 2023. Helen Dorr, senior officer for the National Crime Agency, said Matthew Smith was a high-risk individual and he moved around locations, and we had to find him and arrest him before he could no longer be a threat to children. Ultimately, we was able to prove that he's a prolific offender who manipulated young men to sexually abuse other children on his behalf. He gave them instructions and financial reward. Claire Brinton from the Crown Prosecution Service said, Matthew Smith's crimes are particularly disturbing given the role that he had at a primary school. He was entrusted with the responsibility of caring and safeguarding for children. Thousands of images and videos were recovered from his device, and this showed the appalling catalogue of sexual abuse that he perpetrated on children. Smith offered money for the indecent images to gratify his own sexual needs, and this resulted in the horrific abuse of children across India. The conviction is a clear message, the CPS said, that they will work with their partners around the world in order to track down sexual offenders and predators. They also said there's no evidence that he abused any children while he worked at the school in Britain. But that's the sad reality of this, is that a lot of the victims will often stay quiet. And if you ever feel that you can trust the channel with your story, always email at news@scarcitystudios.com and we'll expose anybody with the right evidence. I really look forward to hearing what viewers have to say on that story. And in some other news coming from London, a Metropolitan Police officer has been convicted of rape of a female and also a child on separate occasions. He was already currently serving time in prison for a previous rape, and he appealed this conviction, and he was later charged with more offences after police investigated allegations. Metropolitan Police Officer Adam Provan, 44 years old from Suffolk, was unanimously convicted of 6 counts of rape between 2003 and 2005 and 2 counts of rape against a teenage girl in 2010. The offences were all committed while he was a serving police officer in the East Area Command Unit. Adam had previously been convicted in 2018 and 2010 and jailed for 9 years. He was dismissed from the Metropolitan Police in March 2019. His attempted appeal was quashed in 2022 and a retrial began at Wood Green Crown Court. They added 6 more counts of rape and he was convicted and found guilty on the 19th of June. The investigating officer, Detective Sergeant Victoria James from the Specialist Crime Unit, said, "These are truly dreadful offences that Provan did. He abused his position of trust with both these women, and I hardly need to say that Provan's behaviour fell short of what we expect of police officers." The 2010 assault was brazen and calculated, with clear indication that he had planned it beforehand. The second victim suffered a campaign of controlling and abusive behaviour and also sexual violence. I commend the victims for helping the police to bring him to justice. In 2010, Provan had also met a 16-year-old girl who, when he met her, he said he was 22. On the first date in late August 2010, Provan took the girl to some woods and raped her. He then took her to Central Park, Harold Hill, and forced her to commit a sex act. The girl told a relative she had been raped, and it was subsequently reported to the police in May 2016. Police began an investigation and Provan was arrested in June 2016. Following further inquiries, he was charged in September 2017. Offences against the second victim, also known to Provan, and a Metropolitan Police officer came to light during the police investigation. The court heard his behaviour towards the woman was violent, abusive and controlling, and he raped her 6 times. Detectives built up a case against Provan, and he was interviewed before being charged in August 2022 with 6 counts of rape. The 2 matters were later joined in court. He will be sentenced on the 21st of August 2023, and I look forward to hearing what the viewers have to say on that story. And in this other story, coming from Sunderland in Tyne on Wear, David Lee was caught with his trousers down while holding a seagull and watching porn. The man was caught pleasuring himself while kneeling over the seagull in a bizarre sex act. The 40-year-old was caught on camera performing a sex act while watching the pornography. He admitted causing unnecessary suffering to a bird at 1 a.m. last August in an alleyway in Sunderland. The case was heard at South Tyneside Magistrates Court, where gulls on the roof could be heard calling out as the bench heard evidence. Prosecutor Leslie Burgess told the court Lee chased one bird after picking up a smaller one and was caught on CCTV looking at his phone while he was holding it. He then pulled his pants up and gave the bird a little kick, and he was later arrested at a nearby takeaway. He said he thought the bird was injured and he was looking at his phone to try to find a vet's number, but police checks revealed that Lee had been looking at porn sites. His defence solicitor said that he had a history of mental health and asked for a psychiatric report to be prepared ahead of sentencing. Chairman of the bench, Faye Gilbert, said that Lee lived in a bizarre world, and the word bizarre was used on more than one occasion. I have to say that as an experienced magistrate, it's one of the most unusual cases I've ever come across. There are people that try to get sexual gratification from animals, but not many cases where it involves a bird. The judge has allowed the defence solicitor to prepare a psychiatric report and is due to be sentenced today, if not tomorrow. So I'll definitely keep you updated on that story. And I really want to hear what viewers have to say. Please don't forget to follow on social media. All the links to the social medias are in the bio. And I'll be back again very shortly with some more news. Peace.